Imagine this. A century-old Labour stronghold, rock solid since 1918, now on the brink of collapse. Caerphilly, deep in the heart of Wales, has voted Labour in every Westminster election for over 100 years. But now, something extraordinary is happening. Polls suggest that Reform UK, Nigel Farage's party, is ahead. For the first time in modern history, Labour could lose Caerphilly in this week's Welsh Parliament by-election. Source: Wales Online. This isn't just a local election, it's a political earthquake waiting to happen. If Reform UK wins, it won't simply take one seat. It will send a message across Britain. Labour's grip on its working-class heartlands is slipping, and Sir Keir Starmer could be heading for humiliation in next May's mega-elections for the Scottish and Welsh parliaments and councils across England. Source: The Mirror. Reform's candidate, 30-year-old Lear Powell, believes this is the start of something much bigger. He says, "Our goal is not just to win seats, it's to take control of the Welsh government and make life better for the people of Wales." He insists that many of his supporters are people who haven't voted for years, disillusioned with both Labour and the Conservatives, but something has changed. They're no longer lending their vote out of anger. They're now proud to identify with Reform UK. Source: Wales Online. Powell's confidence reflects a wider frustration. Across Wales and much of Britain, people are asking the same question. Have the old parties simply stopped listening? Have decades of promises without results driven voters to seek a new voice? Meanwhile, deep within the Welsh Labour Party, there's panic. One senior Labour figure reportedly described the situation as, quote, "a storm." They admitted it's hard to appear radical or insurgent when you've been in power in Westminster for 15 months and in the Welsh Senedd for 26 years. They criticized the party's obsession with constitutional reform, saying Labour had forgotten about education, forgotten about health, and to some extent, even forgotten about transport source. The Mirror, that's a brutal assessment, and it may explain why Reform's message of common-sense politics is resonating. In Caerphilly, an exclusive Survation poll shows Reform UK leading with 42%, ahead of Plaid Cymru on 38, and Labour trailing in third with just 12. For Labour, this is more than a setback, it's a warning shot. Source: Wales Online. Let's pause for a moment, and I want you watching right now in England, Now 7, to think about this. Do you believe this surge for reform is just a protest vote? Or are we witnessing the birth of a new political force in Britain? Could Wales, and once the beating heart of Labour, become the launchpad for Farage's comeback? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'll feature the most insightful ones in our next video. Back on the campaign trail, Lear Powell is working relentlessly, knocking on doors, holding meetings, and trying to build what he calls a government in waiting. When asked if he wants to become Wales's first non-Labour First Minister, he smiled and said, "The priority is to build a team. One person can't fix Wales. It's going to take a cabinet united by common sense, not ideology." Source: The Mirror. Powell also praised Nigel Farage's influence, saying that even when voters disagree with him, they still respect him. People believe that he believes what he says, he explained. That's what other politicians lack. Authenticity. And that word, authenticity, might just be the secret behind Reform's rise. Source: Wales Online. For years, Farage has been written off by political insiders, yet time and again, he reappears. First with UKIP, then with the Brexit Party, and now Reform UK. Each time he taps into something that Westminster struggles to understand: frustration, distrust, and a deep desire for politicians who speak plainly. Across the UK, many voters say they're tired of polished speeches and empty promises. They want honesty, even if they don't agree with every policy. And that's exactly what Farage and Powell are offering. Blunt talk about immigration, energy, taxes, and national pride. But can this message really take hold in Wales, a nation with deep Labour roots and a strong sense of community? Or will this surge fade once the ballots are counted? That's the big question hanging over this week's vote. According to analysts, if Reform UK wins in Caerphilly, it could trigger a chain reaction across other Welsh constituencies and even shake Labour's confidence in England. The symbolism alone would be powerful. a century-long red fortress falling to a party that didn't even exist a few years ago. Source: The Mirror. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. The political map of Britain is shifting fast. In Scotland, the SNP is struggling. In England, Labour leads nationally, but faces anger in the North and Midlands over immigration, taxation, and housing. And now in Wales, Reform UK is testing whether anti-establishment politics can truly take root. And that brings us to the heart of the matter. What does this say about British democracy today? Are voters rebelling against politicians who talk about values but forget real lives? Are we seeing a demand not for radicalism, but for practicality, for common sense over ideology? Here's another question for you, our viewers on England. Now 7, do you think Nigel Farage is the man to lead such a movement? Or is he simply benefiting from Labour's mistakes? And if Reform UK does take power in Wales one day, what kind of country would that create? Lear Powell has been clear about his vision. He wants Wales to be the first common-sense nation. He talks about cutting bureaucracy, improving local services, and giving people more control over their communities. His critics, however, argue that Reform UK has yet to present detailed policies, and that slogans alone won't fix decades of economic and social challenges. Source: Wales Online. Still, the enthusiasm on the ground is undeniable. Even those who once dismissed Farage now admit he's striking a chord again, especially with voters who feel ignored by London politics. They believe he means it, Powell said. That's something politics has been missing for a long time. And as polling day approaches, the stakes couldn't be higher. For Labour, a defeat in Caerphilly would be more than an embarrassment. It would be a sign that its working-class foundations are crumbling. For Reform, a win would prove it can move from the sidelines to the center stage of British politics. But what happens next depends on one simple act: voting. As Powell himself says, it's getting people out on the day that matters. If his supporters actually turn up, history could be rewritten. If not, Labour may just cling on, for now. Before we close, let's reflect on this moment in British politics. Change rarely comes from the top. It starts at the edges, in towns and communities like Caerphilly, where ordinary people decide they've had enough. Whether you agree with Reform UK or not, one thing is clear. The political landscape of Britain is shifting under our feet. So, what do you think? Is this the dawn of a new political era, or just another protest that will fade away? Should Britain's future be shaped by parties like Reform, or is Labour still capable of reinventing itself? Tell us what you think in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to England Now, 7 for more deep dives into the stories reshaping Britain. Because what's happening in Wales today could decide the future of the entire United Kingdom.